lost and I know where to go now. I don't really have a place to call my home now. Everybody hating on a physical now. Why do everybody make me feel alone? Like I'm trying lost and I know where to go now. I don't really have a place to.
How are you doing? That Shiro asked, looking at the elderly man in front of him. When he asked, this girl walked down the tree and looking at them. It's simple chakra control exercise. Moving chakra to the bottom of your feet and use the chakra to stick on the tree. When you have mastered this exercise, I'll move you up to the next level on this exercise. Then after that, the final level of the exercise, girl said, looking at the three in front of them. Naruto was the first to try it. He concentrated some chakra to the solid of his shoes and started to slowly walk up to the tree. Naruto smiled when he was halfway up to the tree. However, his smile soon faded when he heard a loud crack on force of the tree. Guru chuckled slightly, seeing this, and looked at the male. He was doing good at first, but at the end he used too much chakra and he launched off of the tree. Guru thought, looking at Naruto. Guru then turned his attention to his nephew and saw him walking up to the tree like Naruto had done. However, unlike Naruto, he watched as Shiro, instead of being launched off the tree, instead slipped down again. He had it at first, but in the end let it slip to just under enough to stick on the tree. Guru first thought as he turned his head to Fu. He then watched as she walked up the tree, and like Naruto used too much chakra and was pushed off the tree. Seems like she having the same problem as Naruto. Well, at least none of them are natural at this. However, I do have one concern, Guru thought as he once again turned his attention back to his nephew. Shiro is not a Jinchuriki like Naruto and Fu are, so his chakra control servers will be drained a lot quicker than theirs. Well, he'll be drained while they could keep going for possibly an hour. Not only that, but he'll have to be a good chakra control for our bloodline. If he's not in control when he uses it, then there's a good chance that he could destroy his entire body. Or maybe Guru thought as he looked at the white haired male in front of him. Guru sighed and looked at the sky. I forgot how easy it was to relax when I haven't been drinking, Guru thought to himself as he slowly closed his eyes. However, he was forced to open his eyes again when he heard somebody calling his name. He opened his eyes to see that both Naruto and Fu were looking at him. Having you mastered the exercise? Girl asked, looking at the two in front of them. Yes, Sensei, Fu said, looking at the elderly male in front of her. Then follow me, and we'll move on to the next exercise, Guru said, looking at the young couple in front of him. Actually, we were hoping that we could leave early, Naruto said, looking at the elderly male in front of him. What? Guru asked, as a little confused. He then looked at the two males with a curious expression, and Naruto started to explain. Well, today I plan to take Fu out somewhere. I've been wanting to take her out for a while now. The blonde, began only to be cut off by Guru. That's enough. I get the picture. Yes, the two of you can leave. Well, just start on the next exercise tomorrow, the gray haired male said, looking at the two in front of him. When he did, the two smiled and started running towards the village. Thanks, Sensei, the two said in unison. As they continued to run, Guru sighed, seeing the two of them running away, and then looked towards the tree to see that Shiro was laying on the ground, out of breath and exercise. It's just like I thought. The two of them didn't seem exhausted in the slightest, but Shiro seems to have reached his limit, girl thought the male the male got up and looked at the tree. But it seems like he determined not to fall behind them. I don't think he'll notice if I disappear for a little bit, Guru thought as he shunted away. Shiro, however, panted and looked at the tree. He then slowly got on his knees and looked at the tree, and then without warning ran towards the tree. He attempted to run up to the tree, however, his chakra was so low that his feet didn't even stick to the tree. Shiro fell down and slowly sat up and looked at the tree and then sighed. I have to get this before the day is over, Shiro thought to himself as he ran towards the tree. However, unknowing him, his chakra was very low. So low, in fact, that when he tried to run up the tree, he didn't even have enough chakra to stick to the tree. The male then fell down and slowly sat up. He looked at the tree and sighed. Just one more try, Shiro said, as he tried to force himself up on his feet. When he did, the male chakra once again started to dissipate itself. Eventually, the white-haired male chakra became so low that his body stopped moving. Shiro looked at his hands and tried to move, but nothing happened. Shiro then relaxed and smiled. Maybe I should relax a bit, Shiro thought as he closed his eyes. With Naruto and Fu, the two were walking down the streets as Taki were with her locked hands together. Fu then looked at Naruto with a curious expression on her face. So, where are we going? Fu asked, looking at Naruto. I'm taking you to a place that we first met, Naruto said, with a smile on his face. When he said this, Fu smiled and the two began to walk towards the Toga Park. When they got there, they started to walk towards the lake. They then started to walk alongside the lake until they reached the docks where they had first met. The two of them walked to the edge of the docks, and Naruto looked at Fu. So, Naruto, why did you bring me here? Fu asked, looking at the blonde in front of her. Well, Naruto began to look at her. In original, wanted to take you to a restaurant where we could get something nice to eat, but no one would serve us, so I started to think about different things that we could do together. However, no matter what comes into mind, for one reason or another, I couldn't do it. Then I thought came to in mind that it led me here with you, the blonde said, looking at her. What thought was that? Fu asked, looking at the blonde in front of her. When Fu asked this, Naruto took both of her hands and then looked at her and the female in front of him. Naruto's face turned a little red and he looked at her. How important you are to me, Naruto said, looking at her. When he said this, Fu's face turned as red as his, and Naruto began to look at the ground. I don't think about it that often, but Fu, you're really important to me. Believe it or not, I have loved you for a long time. I didn't realize it back then, but now I know that even back then, when we were young kids, that I was in love with you, Naruto said as he raised his head and looked at her. I've loved you for a long time. I'm truly glad that I met you. If I had done one thing different, that the day I never would have met you. You were the first person who treated me like I was a normal person. You were the first person who ever showed me kindness. It's such a short amount of time. You, when nobody else, you would choose to treat me like I was a normal person, even when you knew I was going to cause problems for you. You stay with me anyway, Naruto said, looking at her. Naruto then started to look at the ground, trying to hide his embarrassment. They're having a few things when I trying to picture what my life would be like without you. You'll never guess what comes into mind when I do, Naruto said, looking at Fu. It was quiet for a few seconds before Naruto started to speak again. Fu, Every time I try to think about what my life would be like without you, nothing ever comes to mind. Naruto said, as once again looked up at Fu. When he did, he saw the few tears were building up in her eyes. When he saw this, he reached up to begin to gently wipe them away. Fu, I know I won't be able to do the most amazing things for you, and I know I won't be able to give you the greatest life, but I know that I love you. I have loved you for a long time, and I want you to know that no matter what happens, my heart will always belong to you. Naruto said, looking at Fu. When he said this, Fu smiled and hugged him. Naruto was taken aback a bit by this and smiled and wrapped his arms around Fu. I love you too, Naruto, and I felt the exact same way about you, Fu said quietly in her ears. Naruto smiled, hearing this, and pulled her a little closer to him. Fu then pulled away slightly and looked at Naruto before connecting her lips together. Naruto slowly closed his eyes, and the two were connected for a while before they separated. Naruto then sat on the edge of the docks with his legs hanging off the dock slightly. Fu then smiled and sat in front of Naruto. When she did this, Naruto smiled and wrapped his arms around her waist and let her lean against him. Naruto then placed his head on her shoulder, and the two looked at the lake, just enjoying each other's company. When the dog was just beginning to set in, Fu sighed and stood up. When she looked at the blonde that was still sitting down and offered him a hand, when we promised Shiro that we would meet him in his house, remember? Fu said, looking at Naruto. The blonde liked his compared side. Hearing this and accepted her hand standing up. Well, let's hurry up. I wouldn't want to keep him waiting, Naruto said. Looking at Fu, the green-haired female nodded slightly. Hearing this, and the two started to walk away towards the house that they had learned Shiro's living in. When they got there, Naruto knocked on the door a few times and the door opened. Shiro looked at them and sighed. Please come in. I would like to talk to the both of you about something, Shiro said, looking at them. When he said the two walked into the house. When they did, the two took a seat next to each other. Other side, Shiro sat down, looking at them. So what do you want to talk about, Shiro? Naruto asked, looking at the white-haired male in front of him. It's about what you said in the morning about whether or not we should go to the chunin exams, Shiro said, looking at the two in front of him. When he said this, Naruto almost immediately tensed up and looked at him. Fu couldn't tell how nervous Naruto was looking at Shiro. She saw that he was looking down at the floor. She couldn't see how uncomfortable Naruto was. So what do you think? Naruto asked, looking at the white-haired male in front of him. Fu was a little surprised to hear Naruto ask this, since she knew how much he didn't want to return to Konoha. We can't go there. Shinobis from Konoha have to come here to try and kidnap him before. If we go there, it just make him a huge target. I have to make Shiro out of going, Fu thought as she looked at the blonde beside her. Fu then turned her attention to Shiro. Shiro, please listen. About the Chunin exams, I honestly think that Fu began only to be caught off by Shiro. I don't think we should go, Shiro said, looking at the two, both of them. Fu and Naruto were relieved to hear this. However, the green-haired female was curious as the two why he didn't want to go. Mind if I ask why? Fu asked at the white-haired male in front of her. It's from what I heard Naruto say. Something just seems off. According to Naruto, Sai said he wants to see Naruto there. He said he would be happy if Naruto went to Konoha. Why would he just want Naruto there? Something about that just seems